So the splits that are happening in the MDC, we can explain them using various dimensions. Firstly, we need to appreciate the central theme in which the MDC it was formed. It was formed as a congregation of the students' union. It was formed as a congregation of academics, former white farmers, and trade unionists. But the goal was Mugabe must go, and basically you'd realize that he is no longer there, but they've continued to have these splits. There are characteristics of the failure to have a core value system, a core ideology within the party, which is necessitated by more of individualism than collectivism, because the I factor has become part and parcel of the politics within the MDC. So disgruntlements have arisen. There are a lot of splits that are happening, and the party has failed to integrate its former members, or those who would have managed to signal that they want to come back to the party. There is little integration regards that. So it's a personality movement, it's a movement without ideas, it's a movement that is a congregant of people who only wanted to look at the departure of Zanu-PF, and bearing in mind that they've been in struggle for close to 21 or 22 years, if not 23. Fatigue is crept in, and these are more factors relating to the frailties and the weaknesses that are characteristic in the MDC formations. So Chamisa has done a good thing to come up with his new project, if that is anything to go by, which you will definitely see on the 26th of January when the nomination court sits. He has done a good thing to come up with a movement in which it is a detachment with Douglas Ngonzora regards the issue of symbols, regards the issue of the name and the assets of the party. But the biggest danger I'm seeing is Chamisa's failure to continue fighting for what he believes is for the people. Because when you look at what's happening today, it's more of a replication of what happened with Morgan Tsvangirai when the MDC split in 2005, MDC-T and the MDC Nguwe, Welshman. But Chamisa continued to fight. He actually used the name MDC-T in the 2008 elections, in the 2013 elections. So he really fought brave for what he believed in. But Chamisa, if he is going to depart from the trajectory of Morgan Tsvangirai, he is saying, this path I'm starting, it is detached from Morgan Tsvangirai, and I'm going to create a new avenue to our political discourse. It's more of rebranding, but as we have come to learn more about the opposition politics, they continue rebranding. And the biggest danger is they will rebrand themselves out of existence. Because when we look at what's happening right now, there are other top and senior officials in the Chamisa-led political movement who are actually angling for more seats and angling for power. So this is not the first and this is not the last. I am sure, I can guarantee you this, there are going to be more splits and more splits. And when this happens, instead of coming back to the drawing board to find out why this has happened, they are quick to say Zanu-PF is fighting us, we are being infiltrated, but they need to establish the core values, the ideology, mainly which are nationalist in characteristic. The MDC in the by-elections, it wants to prove a point that we want to bury Douglas Ngonzora. It's more of a personal vendetta to Douglas Ngonzora because they think he has been damaging their movement for a long time. But he also said he's going to compete and he is not here to protect the interest of whoever, because he is also leading a political outfit. So for the MDC, I think they're just going to let the candidates who were expelled stand a position so that they continue with their mandate. But for Zanu-PF to speak for what could be happening in Zanu-PF, it is a test case relating to how the party would perform in 2023, because if you see the MDC since the 2000 elections, they've been winning in urban centers, the urban seats they've been going to MDC. So for Zanu-PF, this is a test case on whether the 2023 elections would mean something in terms of taking back the urban seats which they had before the advent of the MDC in 2000.
Okay, still on that by-elections, you talked about the Chamisa versus Ngonzora fight. Do you see this changing anything in terms of what the electorate would have voted for?
I think there is going to be more of a Chamisa victory, because the consent that has been manufactured today is that Ngonzora is an enemy of the people. So what is going to change is that Ngonzora candidates, they are going to lose heavily. So the contest will be between mainly yes, it's Ngonzora versus Chamisa, but the input of Zanu-PF is also key for people to underline that it's not only a tug of war between Ngonzora and Chamisa, and people, when they are voting, they are committing to a constitutional and civic duty obligation, so people should vote. The outcome would be determined by their input. So whatever comes out of these elections, it has to be taken as a serious outcome, because it can be used to forecast or make other projections in the upcoming elections. So when the MDC was formed, we understand and appreciate that the labor movement was part of it. The former white farmers were part of the movement, and academics and teachers and students, like I said. But with time, because the movement has been there for a long time and they haven't had access to state power, and the failure to have state power is also a result of other leaders or other congregants in their coalition as a party falling by the wayside. So when the labor movement was part of the MDC, you would realize that from 2000 up to 2013, for instance, the Zanu-PF government has also been pushing an issue of empowerment in the labor movement. And the failure of the labor movement to continue the trajectory of supporting the MDC is also rather became prominent. So, well, if you look at it today, it no longer represents the interests of the workers, and Zanu-PF has actually been taking an advantage as a result, and they are actually empowering the teachers, they are empowering the nurses, they are empowering doctors, some who have mines, some who have pieces of land, some they are into projects, and some they actually managed to get loans from the government. I've been saying that after the 2013 election loss of the MDC, that Zanu-PF was actually empowering people. So the labor movement, yes, it is only there, but it is now present in name only and not in deeds. Yeah, when you look at Zimbabwe now, we've got about 62% of our population is below the age of 35. And the youth demography is actually an important cog for both Zanu-PF or MDC or the ruling party and all opposition parties. And also women, their voices, they also really need to be heard. But there's one thing I would want to put across. When a party thinks it is identifying itself with the youth, it doesn't necessarily mean that the youth want that party to be in power. And 2023 elections, they are really there to tell us that not everyone wants Zanu-PF to lose, and not everyone wants the MDC to win. So as a result of that, you realize that whatever outcome, the voice of the youth and women, actually, it is going to be key in this election, and definitely it is going to be a swaying vote which will determine the outcome, and it will determine the winner out of the leading contestants. It is a constitutional process, and it is a right which people have. If people don't want to vote, I think it's their own decision, but I really feel people, they really believe in voting. Why? Because they've been part and parcel of the awareness campaigns that have been done at party and national level for people to register and vote. I don't think someone would go and register to vote in something they do not believe in. So yes, the people in their diversity, I understand and believe they have their personal choices, and that personal choices is actually exhibited in the outcome of the election. So yes, everyone has to vote. Those who do not vote, they should be able to register and vote. But definitely, how do they know that their members are failing to vote? We understand and appreciate that some civic organizations, according to information which is in the public domain, they've been calling on youths, incentivizing them to go and register to vote. And that dynamic alone, it tells a lot about what is happening between the opposition and the civic society in terms of trying to manage the local or national political landscape. But I think the process has been fair with ZEC, because in my case, I have also seen other people who have managed to register to vote. So I think people should listen to the campaigns. For instance, in February, there's going to be a voter registration drive that's going to be conducted by ZEC. And everyone who wishes to be part and parcel of the next elections should then be able to register and vote. We know people, they will speak differently when it comes to issues of voter registration, but it has been clear that once you are committed to register and vote, obviously you get registered. With all due respect, I would respect every player who is going to participate in the 2023 election, but that election will be a game of numbers. So Monzora is a factor, as a contribution that is coming for the multi-party democracy in Zimbabwe. But in terms of numbers, I wouldn't be too sure, but that will only come as determined by the by-elections on the end. Him being a factor, it is just a minute addition to the political landscape, but respecting his choice to contribute freely to the democratic dispensation in Zimbabwe, I think he has done good.
For these and other stories, visit our website www.263chat.com. Follow us on Twitter @263chat and like our Facebook page 263chat.